welcome back to the Taylah Louise Budgets YouTube channel. It has been a while since you have seen my face on here, but I am here today to welcome you to my new home. So let's have a sneaky story time and a little Q&A.
Lately, I've been thinking, I want you to be happier. I want you to be happier when the morning comes and we see what we've been.
Well, like I said, welcome back. This is my home. It is not just the place that I live, it is the place that I now own with my partner and our huge debt. So if I am looking away, it is because I have written myself a few notes to get you up to speed about what has happened, because many of you think that I am building a home and that was the plan and now it is not. I'm going to talk you through all of the major steps and then answer some questions that were submitted over on my Instagram at _Taylah Louise as well when I announced that I was moving. So I'm going to get straight to it. Like I said, I now own my house. This story begins back in May 2021, and I wish I had taken more photos and things along the way. If I do have anything, I will put them up during editing, but I doubt I have a lot to share with you through the process that was meant to be. By the way, it is going to be a little bit of a afternoon snack time, a little bit of a mukbang, if that's what you call it. Oops, because I've got a tutor soon and I need some energy. So it is a Red Bull cheers kind of afternoon, honestly. And we have some leftover pizza because moving house things. Let's get going. So in May 2021, my partner and I, and I'm gonna call him Grant throughout this video, his name is Grant, we purchased some land. So this land was pre-development. It was off the plan, I think they called it. They had not started clearing it yet, but they were selling off the development, getting some unconditional contracts to be able to take that to the bank to get the loans to produce the land. We purchased some land. It was a piece of land that I painstakingly found that was the right size that we wanted. It was one of two lots in the development that was the size that we were after. So I was very lucky to get it, so I thought, as you will see throughout this process. But yes, that is step one. May 2021, we purchased land. Come August 2021, we then entered a building contract. So we started designing our dream home. And when I say it was our dream home, it was our dream home. It was everything that I could have wanted in a home. And yeah, I was very excited to build my dream home. The developer and the builder were separate companies. That is important to keep in mind throughout this process. We did not buy a turnkey property. It was, we purchased the land and then we found our own builder. So then for months, periodically, we would go in for meetings. We had many appointments, getting to the stage of picking fittings. So we had selected our carpet colors. We had drawn up our build. We had worked out where the fans are going, where the windows going, what size they were going to be. We had changed everything. I'd made sure that I basically had everything that I wanted in the home. Like, I had kitchen drawers going into my walk-in robe cupboard. Like, everything was selected. So in preparation for this home, we also then in September, a month later, so September 21, we sold my partner's home. So he owned a home previously that we were living in for a few years, and you know, getting ready for this process of buying a home, we sold his, and we have no regrets about that. We were very happy with that sale going through, and so we sold that and we moved in with my mum to save money during the building process. So yep, while we were waiting for our house to be built, we were going to live with my mum. So then August 2021, I mixed up the order of this a little bit by accident, but then August 2021, so just after we signed the house contract, so just after we started designing our build, there was a delay. So land was originally meant to be ready in December of 2021 to then start building your home. So that is when the land titles would have happened. And this got delayed till Q1 2022. So that would then mean somewhere between January and March of 2022. That obviously didn't happen. November 2021 then. So land had been cleared. So we had gone up and visited our land and seen that yes, it had been cleared. There were piles of trees on the ground, piles of like big dirt piles essentially, where they had cut down the trees, but then they'd left the big piles of mulch there. You couldn't actually drive or like past the property or anything. You could just drive up to and view where the development was meant to be, and you could look and guess what section was meant to be our home. Come January of 2022, when we are finalizing our build, design fittings because anytime now our land's going to be ready, right? We get an email in January saying that the new ETA is Feb or March 2023. So that is a sudden 12-month delay. They didn't warn us that there had been any further delays throughout this process, but then suddenly there was going to be like 12-month delay. This meant we then needed to negotiate an extension on our price hold for our build, because obviously when you sign a contract for a build, the price changes over time. So you've got a certain period of time to actually provide the land for them to make that build happen. So we had to negotiate a price hold. There's extra fees and stuff associated with that, but we were happy to go ahead with that. We kept our house price and put the price hold on. 6 months later, June 2022, we decided 10 months of living with my mum, we needed our own space back and our house was still a while away. So we were like, okay, let's move into our own place. So we moved into a rental. July 2022. So literally like 2 weeks after we moved into our own rental, delay of land until early 2024. It went from December 2021 to Q1 2022 to Feb March 2023 to just suddenly early 2024. Yikes. At this point, we were offered to leave the contract. We had a sunset clause, which basically meant that after 18 months, they had to deliver the land. If they didn't deliver that land at the 18-month mark, we could walk away and get our deposit back, essentially. So they offered for us to terminate. We, however, don't want to. At this point, it hasn't been 18 months yet. Even when I'm filming this, it hasn't been 18 months yet. But because their estimated time of completion is post that, they have offered to bring that forward. So if we want to leave now, we can. We, however, don't want to leave because, and as they kept reminding us through the delay process, the value of our land has skyrocketed. The amount that we are contracted to buy it for can't change because we've paid our deposits, all of that's well and good. As long as we get finance come the day that they give it to us, the price can't change. However, we can then resell it for a higher value. So they kind of want us to walk away because if we walk away now, they just sell it to someone else for double the price. Maybe not quite double, but a lot more money than we paid for it. So it is in their best interests for us to walk away. Throughout this process, you can see that not only are the delays annoying, but a lot of them are unjustified. We have owned that land for over a year and all that has happened is some trees have been cut down, and driving past there now, trees are growing back. So they would need to be cut down again. There is no way that the delays are fair. August 2022, we terminated our build contract. Now at this point, it didn't cost us any money as of yet, but we wanted to get our deposit back for our house because we could no longer afford to pay what the price hold amounts were. When it reached a certain time, we would then be paying a certain amount every week to delay. And that would have been over $1,000 a week, every additional delay. And as you can see, with everything up in the air, no trust about when we were actually going to get this land, we had to just say bye-bye and walk away. However, to build the same house again, the new quote from the builders was, it had skyrocketed. It had gone up just like our land had skyrocketed in value, so had the price of building a house. So to build the exact same house again was going to cost at the base price over $180,000 more. Saying goodbye to that house contract was also saying goodbye to that house because we didn't have an extra $200,000 lying around. This is partially why we held on to our original deal as long as possible and tried to negotiate those price holds. The sunset clause is set to end November 2022. So I'm probably filming this preemptively and I probably shouldn't be posting this online, but I'm not saying anyone's names, so it's fine. We plan to stay due to the financial value and growth that the land has had, in the hopes that we can actually get this land and then decide what to do with it. The problem is that in Queensland, there is no law to stop a developer from leaving a contract after the sunset clause date. So while our contract does specifically state that we can walk away scot-free, get our deposit back, if it's after 18 months, there is that sunset clause in there for us. There is nothing that says that what happens to them if they don't produce the land. And because of that, it proxies back to the law. And Queensland law does state that the developers can exit after that time. Now, as a legal studies teacher, this one has bothered me from the get-go because in Victoria and in New South Wales, there are laws in place to stop developers from being able to do this. From the get-go, it made us nervous because we knew it was possible for them to do this. And you know, when you buy land, you want to build a house. You don't want to put your life on hold for 18 months to have to start again after the market has boomed. So this then means that they could give us our deposit back and sell the land at a high value. If we wanted any sort of retribution for this, we would then have to sue them, and there's still no promises. Like I said, it proxies back to the law. There was nothing in our contract to state it. It was something that I questioned with our solicitors when we were signing the contract. However, they drew up the contract. We just had to sign it. There were other things as well that if we didn't want to sign that and they weren't willing to change it, then they would just sell the land to someone else. So it's one of those things when there's such a high demand in the market, anyone else would have wanted our land and wouldn't have questioned it and would have signed it as well. So it was one of those sorts of things of like, you can't win. It was a catch-22. We figured, because we were living in our rental at this stage, we figured we would start looking at places that we might be able to buy come December, thinking that at this point, after November, we would know for sure that we wouldn't be getting our land. We still don't know. To this day, we don't know. Current day, present day, sitting here right now, we don't know what is going to happen, but we just have a good guess. We're 99% sure. However, in September, so December, we wanted to start looking for houses. In September of 2022, my brother-in-law sent us a link to a house. And so we decided to go take a look, and we did, we didn't like it. When we got home, he sent us another one, and I had a look and I was like, oh, that's all right, and saw that it was open for inspection pretty much around the corner from where we were staying. So we got in the car and we went and had a look, and my partner fell in love. I walked in and went, this is wrong with it, this is wrong with it, this is wrong with it. I don't like this, I don't like this. I couldn't walk through a house and it have things that I had selected other items for when I was going to build my dream home. Things like, oh, carpeted stairs. Oh, who would buy a house that has carpeted stairs? You need timber stairs because I ain't vacuuming carpeted stairs. Little things like that I was just like, mental block, I can't do it because, or I don't like it because blah, blah, blah. Or little things like our dream home was gonna have a media room. This doesn't have a media room. Like little things like that don't really matter at the end of the day. Like the house is plenty, but realistically there were so many wins about it. We came back to see it the next day again and brought my brother-in-law and my sister along because they've had a bunch of houses before, they've renovated houses before, everything. The house is really new. So it is under a year old, and that is a positive thing for us because we aren't your everyday reno people. We want a finished, we want a good product. So yes, and a few days later, we had a contract. So we organized building and pest, finance, and booked settlement. Now we are in, and I have zero regrets. I love it more and more every time I walk through it. Now that I've like set up my pantry, I'm like, I love this house. So the more I went and bought furniture, and I'm excited to finish it, and just all of those sorts of things really just like set in stone, and I am now in love with this house that I at first had doubts about. I'm glad that I was able to look at it a second time and give it a chance. So we are still on the hook with our land. We still have that contract in place, and so we had to consider that in the budget when purchasing this house, when placing an offer, that we might then want to apply for finance again to purchase the land. And we are definitely in the no promises boat. However, it was an unconditional contract, but because even if they do produce the land, it is after that 18-month mark, we will, if we can't get finance, we'll still be able to get out of it and walk away. If, however, it is ready before November, which I mean, it's middle of October now. So if it was ready before November and we couldn't get finance, we could get sued. And we took that chance based on being able to see that there's no way that they would get it done in that period of time with where it's currently at. We wanted to purchase this home because come next month, we could be left with nothing but the bare bones money that we already had sitting in our bank. And that is a long time to put your life on hold for something like this. Like no land title is in our name, and we're 90% sure that land title will never be in our name. And that's that. But you know, we are moving forward now, and it's one of those things where, you know, when we started this journey, this house wasn't built. So maybe it was meant to be. Maybe it was meant to be that we were meant to wait for this house. And I'm definitely getting better at, instead of grieving for the loss of the house, of just appreciating what I do have around me. I know how blessed and privileged and lucky I am to be 25 sitting in my own home. It is beautiful, it is big, it is just everything I could want and more, realistically, apart from the carpet on the stairs. I haven't had to vacuum them yet, but I just genuinely just feel so lucky and blessed to be this human living this life and having a space to be able to call home. I have had stuff that has been living in boxes for over 10 years. I can feel the croakiness. It is Red Bull time. There has been stuff that I have had in boxes for like 10 years. My partner and I have been together for over 6 years now. And, you know, we will want to have kids in the next few years. And we are both on the train of, we don't want to do that in a rental. The rental market is ridiculous. The amount we were paying for such a small space was ridiculous. And I can't live with my mother forever. So yes, we are moving forward now. But I'm going to get onto your questions because some of you did submit questions. I haven't written down who asked what, but question number 1 was, did you scrap building and buy something that was move-in ready? And from the story time, you now know, yes, we kind of did. 2 is, what was the toughest part of the process? And I believe this was Chris Budgets that submitted this one. And so the toughest part of the process, I guess, for me was just the time and the delays and the waiting. But in terms of like buying this property, buying this home, the toughest part of the process for me was genuinely just deciding to commit, deciding to go for it, especially because I knew what I was losing in that, you know, we weren't buying this house meant we weren't going to be building the house of my dreams. So just that kind of deciding, yes, that this was the right choice was really hard. For me personally, I think if my partner wasn't so in love with so many aspects of this home, that we wouldn't have bought it. And he was incredible, by the way. He did not say, we're buying this home, blah, 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 blah. No, we had submitted offers and he had still said, it's not too late. If you're not keen, we don't have to buy this house. We can wait. Like there was no rush for us, right? 3 months into a 12-month rental lease. There was no rush for us to buy this home. So yeah, no, he was wonderful about that. I really had to commit and want it. And that was the toughest part, was deciding that yes, this was the right choice. And I now know that it was. Another question was, did you have lots of costs to end your lease? And yes and no. We knew that the rental market being so insane would make it easier to find people, and we gave them a month notice. And pretty much the date we gave ourselves, because of the day of the week that we pay rent on, we knew that we would need to pay for an extra week to allow us move out time. Hello, doggy. And so giving ourselves some move out time of an extra week meant obviously paying an extra week rent. We had to pay an extra rent payment plus GST for a reletting fee to like advertise it. And we have to pay an extra week that is like the week that's a blank between when the new tenant moves in. Yes and no, it could have been much worse, especially considering if the market had been tougher, if they couldn't find someone for it, then technically we would be paying it for 9 months. So thankfully we were in a situation where we knew that that wouldn't be the case. So otherwise, not too bad. Obviously then we still had the problem of the fact that we have a dog and we lived in a place for 3 months and then had to pay to like flea treat the carpet, which she doesn't have fleas. So it seems a bit arduous to have to carpet clean and flea treat when, yeah. And it's too soon to tell regarding whether or not I'm getting bond back because we don't know yet, but we should. I cleaned it myself. It's pretty good. So hopefully we can get it back. I'll keep you updated, I guess. Oh, and then obviously we had to pay for removalists again as well, which is probably the worst part because we just paid for removalists 3 months ago and now we're paying for removalists again. But it's okay. Will your roof budget from your target bills tracker be affected, or have you managed to be far enough ahead that it isn't affected? Now I plan to do content on my budget revamp, my end of year budget, and explaining what I plan to do in more depth, but no, I'm not far enough ahead for it to count, and I had just finished my target bills. However, because it is a mortgage and house that we own together, I will now be budgeting any house expenses separately from target bills. So moving forward, my 2023 budget won't even include mortgage. So I'm still considering my target bills tracker complete for all the other bills that I still have. And I'm not even using the roof budget for my mortgage. I'm keeping that as a buffer, a bill buffer, seeing what comes up throughout the end of the year to use that on. And I'm just completely kind of starting fresh with my mortgage budget. My budget is getting a complete revamp and it is very tight now. Like I cannot even explain to you how tight my budget is now. I literally like had a mental breakdown where I was like, I can't afford this house once I found out how much it was going to cost. And the fact that we're on a variable home loan rate really hurts my soul. But yes, it is difficult to be a homeowner, and I knew that there would be some sacrifices, but those sacrifices are kind of worth it to me. So yeah, my budget will be looking a lot more realistic for some of you. Next is, how do you get out of a contract? And I'm assuming that means, how do you get out of a land contract? If it is unconditional, you can't. The fact that we are reaching our sunset clause is the only reason we can get out of our contract. And in terms of our lease contract, there's obviously situations and you have to find someone that will cover your lease, and thankfully they found someone for us, so they relet it and found someone for us. So I hope that answers your question. If it doesn't, DM me or something, because I don't know the specifics of what you're asking there, but I think the answer is no. We were just kind of lucky about our situation. Will you and your partner be having joint finances now? And the answer is kind of. We aren't. We have a joint bank account, which is where our mortgage will go out of, but we are keeping our own independent accounts. I personally want my financial independence. He personally wants his financial independence, and we're pretty good. We're really good communicators, and I'm kind of the financial manager when it comes to that sort of stuff, just because he will pay bills late, and that drives me insane. So I have worked out an amount that both of us need to transfer into the joint account each month, and that will cover house bills and all of our house sinking funds for the year, I hope. And I plan to track those. I probably won't share exact numbers with you on those categories and those bills, just because I've always on here shared my budget and my expenses, and I don't think it's fair, and I don't think my partner has signed up for sharing his own. So at the moment, that's where I stand on that, and it is a lot of money, so it feels like something I should keep private. So the answer is kinda. We're not even final on a lot of that. We are considering joining even like our groceries and food budgets, because at the moment that is separate too. But yeah, our house expenses are definitely now joint. Yeah. There are other things that we share finances on already anyway, like dog expenses, stuff like that. Usually I buy her worming treatments, her flea treatments, her food, and he pays for her vet visits. Because they're usually more expensive. So we're already pretty good. I usually just keep track of what he pays for, what I pay for, and it evens itself out most of the time. When it comes to food, he pays more when we go out to eat or takeaway, and I pay more when it comes to buying groceries, but we both do both. When you're building a life together, it doesn't really matter so much anyway, except moving forward, it will really matter for me because my budget is so tight. But I've made it work for, as long as I've been doing this, which is like 18 months. So I'm sure I will be fine. And that was the last question. If you have any more that I haven't answered, drop them down below or in my Instagram DMs, and I will be sure to answer it. This has felt really weird to film a whole video of just my face, not doing anything with money, but it was long overdue. I have been waiting a really long time to tell you about this. So I hope that you have enjoyed hearing my story time. And I shall see you in my next video very, very soon. Make sure to go down below and click like and subscribe and hit the bell to be notified. You will see money, cash stuffing with you real soon. I hope that I can get this up in time and that this is not a late video, because I'm still unpacking. Like, this could have been a house tour, but there's no way. Like, we won't even have a lounge. Like, I'm sitting on a bed right now that is on the floor in the lounge room. There's nothing to show you right now, I swear. Okay, I'll see you next time. Bye.